How you doing, guys? So today we're gonna go over heat cord. We're outside. It's freezing cold. Sorry about the mess. It's there's a lot going on out here. So let's get on with the video. So here we have a Reptile 1 cube thingy. Wait for this plane to go past. I don't actually know what model it is, but it is a Reptile 1 enclosure. I'm not a giant fan of them, only because they're so expensive. If I had lots of money, all of my enclosures would be a nice glossy finish. But because I have so many snakes that it would be completely unrealistic to get every single one of these enclosures like this. They're real clean looking, but if you had, you know, 1 or 2 snakes and you had the money, I mean, if you have lots of snakes and you have the money, I'm jealous, but whatever. I would recommend these things. They're quite good. It is nice and small and it's quite deep. I do have 2 of them and I will be doing 2 videos today. So this video will be about putting one and using the glass on the bottom of these things. So what they were for, Reptile 1 was selling heat mats, and basically they were selling these wooden enclosures which it's not recommended that you put heat mats in the actual enclosure because they can overheat and cause fires and stuff like that. So if you do have one in your enclosure, I would suggest figuring out a different way to do it. And that's why they made the glass bottom, so you can stick it underneath on this side and you would still get the heat through the glass on the other side, but the lip on the outside here allows air to come out the back and it still allows it to breathe. I personally, I'm not using heat mats on anything. I'm starting to dig heat cords a lot more. I've heard a lot of bad reviews about the heat mats, but I've heard a lot of people been using heat mats forever and never had a problem. I've actually seen one post about a heat cord failing, which is, you know, anything can fail. All you need is a little tiny pinhole and electronics, and obviously you've got heat there as well, so any water or anything can go wrong with electricity. It's not a full safe plan, yeah. So yeah, I personally just like using the heat cords better until I find something else. A lot of people use heat tape. It's more of an American or an overseas thing. In Australia, we don't have too much access to the heat tape. Most of us use heat cord or heat mats, which is heat mats basically just heat tape but already made. So for the ease of this video, you could just, you know, make your own little adjustments to whatever product you use. Just make sure with any kind of heating, always keep checking it, keep an eye on it, have a thermostat on it, and always check it, because things can go wrong very quickly, and you can have some real bad outcomes because of your heating failing or even lights failing. So for this video, all we're gonna need is some tape. Try and get, this is ducting tape. You can use aluminium tape. I mean, this is good enough. The aluminium tape is quite a lot thicker. And it is expensive, but when you're playing with heat, like I said before, things can go wrong. It's worth the extra money. Heat cord, and what I'm going to do is add on some extra bits of wood, which I've already cut, to make less of the heat dissipate out of the bottom and out the back, not being used. I'm going to put these over there and maybe drill a couple of holes in it, allowing it to breathe a bit more, just so there is something extra to hold the heat from just escaping from the bottom. So the first step for this is going to be taping down the heat cord. People use silicone, people use all kinds of things to put it down, but in this case, because we're going to have the wood under it, I can use this tape, because if the tape lets go, this will catch it. So all the taping is now done, and now, I mean, you could leave it like this, but I have a feeling that this heat tape will all just peel off. And like I said before, I don't want all the heat just coming straight out the back here. I want to keep a little bit of it still in there. Otherwise, if there's a draft coming in underneath the back, it's going to cool that down way too quick, and I want to try and keep a little bit more heat in there. Obviously, trapping the heat in there is going to cause a little bit more of a risk, but I feel like it should be alright. Heat cord's usually pretty good. So what we could do now is just get this all squished in there. No gaps, no nut. Well, there's a little gap at the back there, a little gap here, and just screw it down and that be it. But what I've done is I've left a gap in the middle. There's going to be a gap at the front here, like that, and there was going to be a gap at the back here, but I've decided that it's probably not enough ventilation and it should hold enough heat, so I might just drill a couple of holes in here to make it a little bit, give me a little bit more peace of mind, I guess, more breathing room for it so it doesn't overheat. So don't be lazy, clamp everything down before you start working. I'm usually pretty slack about this and feel like I can do it, but you need two hands. There will be a little bit of smoke coming out of it, only because of the drill bit that I'm using. You can use hole saw bits, they work way better, but this thing is what I've got and it'll work. So these are all drilled up. You might know that I'm the master of taking shortcuts that end up taking way longer, so they're not even shortcuts, but pre-drill your holes, clamp it down, drill it. Also, don't use your kitchen bench or anything to drill on, because I've done that before, because I was being lazy and I've been yelled at for that. I'm allowed to drill this table because it is a crappy outdoor table and it's going to end up in the fire anyway. So if you have a workbench, use your workbench. Don't use your mum or your partner's kitchen bench or your family's best table, because you might get in trouble when you drill through it. So they are done. There is one nicely cut side and one side that just kind of punched through the end of it, and that's what's going to happen with a drill bit like that. If you have a actual hole saw bit, the circular ones that cut out like cookies, it'll come up a little bit nicer, but honestly it doesn't really matter. The only reason why I'm going to change anything is because it's left a little bit of a rough bit there. So if there is a malfunction with the heat tape, there is more chances of that catching fire than a smoother side. So I am going to flip them upside down and have the not so nice bit showing at the top and have the smoother bit facing towards it. Unfortunately, I had a little notch cut for this, so I'm just going to shave off that bit and just give it even more room to breathe. This is what it'll look like. I know it's not very pretty, but you will not see that at all unless you flip it upside down. The reason why I'm not going to silicone it, I didn't say this before, but if the heat cord does die or it has a problem with the cord or it just stops working, all you're going to have to do is undrill these and take off the tape, and then you can replace it without having to pull anything and break the glass or anything like that. So hopefully this works well. We're going to have to go to Bunnings and get some screws for this, because I don't have any lying around. I'll have a quick look around and see if I can find any, and give it a quick vacuum or blowout and get rid of all of this dust under it, and then screw it down, and then that is done. So there's an absolute butt ton of people here at Bunnings, but I've got to get used to vlogging out in public. We got our screws, and Brandon, this is a challenge for you to go out and do a vlog in public. just be grateful that you don't have a massive camera with a huge microphone on it. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to pick up some of this stuff to finish off some of the wood edges that I've cut in the big enclosure. This is incredibly hard and incredibly awkward. Like, I got heaps of stuff in my hands, so it takes like 2 hands to operate and start the camera. So I've got to put everything down when I start. So I'm going to leave it here. I will get back to you guys when I get home. That little awkward trip is over. A $3 screw trip that we literally only went out to buy screws turned into a $100 trip. So we got screws, melamine tape stuff for the edges. I'll go through that soon. I've actually got a funny story about this. Last time I used it, I got given some. I didn't realize that they were, if you read in the middle there, it says iron on, and I used glue once. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Also, I got some of these. I thought maybe we'll do a little climbing platform in this enclosure. Also, I got an air compressor yesterday that I had to fix up, and so I went and got some hose fittings. I'm not sure if it's going to be cheaper to build this by myself, because I didn't really look into it too much. But these, if you brought them separately, it was $30, but if you brought them together in a pack, it was $22. So it pays to look at the other stuff around. Also, we got a tire gauge and a blowy thing, which I just wanted so I could blow some of the wood away, because, I mean, yeah, whatever. So, I'm going to quickly put this hose together, and then I'm going to blow it down, clean it up, and maybe we can put this in it, or maybe I'll do that in another video, and we'll see how it works. So, the line's made, works well, compressor works really well. We've got this clean. Now let's screw these on. So drill a pilot hole for the screws. That'll stop it from cracking a little bit, and it'll be a little bit easier to do. Also, I don't want to slip and smash the glass, so I'll be drilling pilot holes in this. But make sure, like the screws, you are not going to go through the other side, because once you go through the other side, you got to patch it up. It looks super messy, and if you go through the other side, it may blow out like these things did, and it doesn't look pretty inside the enclosure. It also gives place for feces and water spillages and everything to get into, so you have to seal them up if you do go through it. It's not the end of the world, and I've done it many a times, but you do have to fix them and make sure no little yucky hidey spots are formed. So yeah, let's get on with this, and that'll be this one basically done. So that is all screwed down now. 2 screws, 1 on each side, would have been plenty enough, but I figured if I spent $100 on going to get 8 screws, I may as well put 8 screws in there. So let's flip it over and let's see what it looks like. So we flipped it back over. Let's check it out. I reckon it looks alright. I think it's going to work fine. So you can see in here, it is quite a large bit of the enclosure. But that's alright, because we're going to put that shelf in there, which should allow, if the floor is getting too hot and somebody doesn't notice that it's happening, the shelf should allow them to get off the floor, and then next time you come in, read the floor temperature and realize that there's no real cool spots for it, then you can make a change. That's why it's very important when you do set up stuff like this, either dummy test it with nothing in it, or keep a very close eye on it, because things like these can go wrong really quickly. Thankfully, I'll be running a thermostat on this one, but placement of thermostat, if you watch my incubator video, is pretty important when it comes to measuring stuff, and sometimes it's not so easy. But with heat cord, heat mats, all of that, it's a little bit easier to read than your light bulbs and stuff. And we'll go over light bulbs another day. So yeah, that is not looking too bad. I will wrap this video up here. I hope this video helps you guys. If this method of heating doesn't work for you because you've got a full wooden floor, I'll put a link in the description to another video that I'm going to be filming now about making a heat tile, which should be way better for you. Alright guys, you know the drill. Take it easy, stay awesome, and remember, you can't fail if you try. See ya.